two young photographers find beauty in each other's arms, and soon Juanita and Tom are developing more than snapshots.
They had built together a beautiful log cabin home out in the woods. They were realizing dreams together.
Juanita was head over heels. She thought she had the catch of the year, and Tom thought she had the catch of the year, too.
But as the years pass, the picture-perfect romance fades to black.
Who is it, huh? Who is she?
Who is who?
It was different from what he was getting at home. I think it made him feel a lot younger. It made him feel alive.
I think she was put through hell.
Hell served icy cold in a marriage that's literally on the rocks.
There are no signs, there are no railings, there are no warnings. 140 feet, a sheer cliff.
Love may be blind and marriage bliss, but divorce is murder. Rural northern Michigan. It's known for its natural beauty, and it's the perfect spot for a budding romance. Between amateur teenage photographer Juanita Culver and a familiar, handsome face.
Hey, don't know you from the camera store?
Yeah. Sorry. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
It's Tom, right?
Yeah.
Tom worked at the camera shop, and she started going there to get supplies.
What are you working on?
Oh, just a few black and whites.
Oh.
Tom, he was a good-looking guy, slender, very athletic.
I'm quite sure a lot of the girls really liked him because he was handsome in junior and senior high.
Tom likes what he sees in Juanita, too.
Juanita was a very beautiful woman, great personality.
I usually develop them myself.
I like a girl who knows her way around the dark room.
Both had a very strong interest in photography, and I think that really drew them together.
The romance blossoms as Juanita and Tom discover that they have more than photography in common. They have religion.
The grass withers and the flowers fall.
Because the breath of the Lord blows on them. Book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 7.
I think Juanita loved Tom just simply because of the man he was in terms of his faith.
Juanita was head over heels. She thought she had the catch of the year, and Tom thought she had the catch of the year, too.
They date exclusively for 2 years and make plans for the future. Plans that are expedited when Juanita gets big news at age 19.
When Juanita found out she was pregnant, she was excited to start a family. With our small community, it was kind of understood that if you make the mistake of getting pregnant, if you want to call it a mistake, then you get married.
Less than a year after graduating from high school, Juanita and Tom become Mr. and Mrs. Richardson.
That was kind of the way we were raised. It was the appropriate thing to do.
With Juanita just a few months pregnant, the couple honeymoons at Pictured Rocks.
Pictured Rocks is one of the most gorgeous federal parks in the entire country.
The lake shore is gorgeous. The water is crystal clear. It's breathtaking.
They wanted to take pictures because it is such a beautiful place. She was very happy. Tom looked happy, too. They seemed very excited and happy to start that phase of their lives.
The newlyweds moved to Tom's hometown of Cadillac, and their daughter, Leah, is born a few months later. Tom lands a job at a local boat building company.
I met Tom at work, where he would go inside of a boat and go through and find any discrepancies wrong with the boat. Then I would go through and repair any of the issues.
Tom stands out, both for his attitude and for his looks.
Tom seemed to be a good worker. We worked in a factory. Everybody would come in with blue jeans and T-shirts on, and Tom always had to have a polo shirt. And, you know, new blue jeans. He couldn't wear the grubs like the rest of us did. He always had to be professional looking even in his job.
Over the next 5 years, Tom and Juanita's family grows.
Tom and Juanita were very close with their children. They spent a lot of time together. They would go on family trips. They seemed very happy with their immediate little family.
They were always very close, and they all love each other.
Juanita stays home with the kids for a while, but eventually takes a job at their school. The Richardsons and their 3 kids are also actively involved with their church.
Church had always seemed to be a fairly important part of their life.
Well over a decade into the marriage, Tom is still building boats, where his boyish charm is still always on display.
To use the word bubbly isn't the right word. I'd say a very forward type personality. Very talkative.
Tom had a lot of friends. I mean, at work and outside of work, he was a very popular person.
But not everybody is taken with him.
He could be a jackass. When other women were around, especially new women that were coming into the factory, it was hilarious to watch him because he wanted to be noticed and flirt with these other women.
Tom's flirting isn't limited to work.
So it was just us 4 adults. And a woman walked in, very tall and thin, blonde hair. She was beautiful. And he watched her go across and said very loudly for anybody to hear,
"Wouldn't you like to have those ankles up around your ears, then?" I would.
Tom.
Oh, come on, babe. You know I love you.
She was mortified, and we just kind of looked at him like, did you really just say that right in front of your wife?
I just wished you still had a body like that.
You're unbelievable.
Oh, babe, you know
And
I
he
love
thought it was hilariously funny. And we all found it to be very offensive.
you. So, seeing that waitress just kind of got me in the mood.
Juanita said that Tom was never satisfied. He was insatiable. She said she could have sex with him every night, and it was never enough.
Okay, excuse me, I'm just gonna use the washroom.
Psychotherapist Stacy Kaiser and forensic psychologist Brian Russell see this open admiration for other women as anything but harmless.
Tom may have an inherently flirtatious component to his personality, and that may be one of the things that drew Juanita to him in the first place. But once they're married, Tom really needs to rein that in for 3 reasons. 1, it's disrespectful to Juanita. 2, it may cause people outside of the marriage to question the commitment of the marriage. And 3, it can undermine the trust in the marriage.
One of the greatest indicators of marital problems is criticism, particularly in public, because most people are on their best behavior in front of other people.
Given the circumstances under which Tom and Juanita's marriage began, when Juanita was pregnant, it wouldn't surprise me if Tom is sort of playing around at this point, at least with the idea of exploring what his life may have been like had he not become a husband and a father so young.
I'm really worried about Juanita at this time because what happens to a lot of women is instead of being angry at the husband, they tend to blame themselves. And so my thinking is that Juanita may be thinking things like, maybe I'm not attractive anymore, maybe he doesn't love me anymore, and be trying to fix herself instead of focusing on what's wrong with him.
You okay? Of course. Why? Tom being Tom. Come on, let's go get some dessert.
There were so many times she would say, that's just Tom. Oh, that's just Tom. And I'd look at her and say, no, that's not how people treat each other when they love each other. Oh, you just don't get it. It's just Tom.
But maybe it's Juanita who doesn't get it.
There were times when he would not come home for 2 or 3 days.
He knew it was wrong, but It was just something inside of him that he was fighting.
The Richardsons have been married 16 years and are raising 3 children in small-town Michigan. But Tom Richardson is spending less and less time at home. And wife Juanita is determined to find out where he is and who he's got in his sights.
Juanita said that she would get in the car and drive around and try to find his vehicle.
Where were you? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Where were you? Just answer my questions, Tom. Where were you?
You wake the kids.
Who is it, huh? Who is she?
Who is who? You know, maybe I should have an affair. You haven't exactly been fulfilling your marital obligations.
Get it out!
And with pleasure!
Get it out!
Fine!
She knew he was seeing someone or more than one. She knew he was having an affair, but she couldn't prove it.
Tom and Juanita decide to separate and take the time they need to figure things out. But Juanita is desperately unhappy about it.
She was anxious. You know, the love of your life is tossing you aside. She felt a lot of the reason for him leaving was her fault because she couldn't satisfy him sexually.
She was suffering from some level of depression, and it was actively engaged in treating her depression.
While Juanita uses medication to help her cope, Tom turns to his friend Mike.
I had an extra room, and he needed a room, and I told him that, you know, because we're such good friends, that I would be more than happy to rent him a room.
That's when Tom admits to Mike that Juanita had good reason to be suspicious all along.
I met someone else.
That's a lot to give up over a fling.
Look, it's not a fling. Look, I can't help myself.
He felt really bad about it. He knew it was wrong. It was just something inside of him that he was fighting.
His fling is named Jackie.
Tom still loved Juanita, but he was in love with Jackie. Tom was having sex with Jackie, and it was different from what he was getting at home. I think it made him feel a lot younger. It made him feel alive. You know, he was torn between the two. He knew what he was doing with Jackie was not right. On the other hand, he still loved his wife. He didn't know what to do.
Tom may have moved out of the house, but that hasn't made Juanita any less determined to find out if he's been faithful.
He carried on that affair with Jackie quite openly.
When she started being suspicious of who it might be that he was seeing, she would drive by that person's house and see if his vehicle was there.
Son of a bitch.
Juanita went to the home one time to confront him about it.
But the confrontation never happens. And eventually, Jackie, the other woman, ends the relationship with Tom.
Tom was very devastated. He completely broke down.
Heartbroken, Tom makes a big decision to go back to Juanita and their 3 kids.
He stepped out of his marriage for a brief period of time, physically stepped out of the home, but then realized that he loved his wife and loved his kids.
Eventually, he just he decided that it was best to go back to his family because he thought it was the right thing to do.
But he needs his wife's forgiveness and the church's.
Well, religion was important to Tom. He was a very spiritual man, very religious man. He felt that the only way to truly get forgiveness from his wife and from his family was to go in front of his church, confess his sin, and ask for forgiveness. So he did that.
I would like you to pray with me and to pray for me. I've sinned. I've strayed from my marriage. I've committed adultery. I've let myself down, let down my family, and most importantly, I've let down God. And I sincerely ask for your forgiveness. All of you.
Not only did the congregation forgive him, so did Juanita, and so did his kids. And the church embraced him, and his family took him back. And then they worked on their marriage from that point forward.
I think Tom's confession was his way of really trying to make amends to Juanita. One of the holiest and best things that you could possibly do would be to come and ask forgiveness, not just of your spouse, but of the church as well, and he's tried to do that.
I think Tom's big confession in front of the church is just a big show. I think most of the time, highly religious Christians don't go around flagrantly breaking commandments like thou shalt not commit adultery. Normally, I think that a common faith tradition is a very good thing for the longevity of marriages. It's a very good bonding element in a marriage. But that requires that both people take it seriously. And it really looks to me like Tom's faith is quite superficial.
It is completely possible for a person to love two people. I've seen it many times, sadly. However, I don't know if that's the case for Tom. He didn't know Jackie for very long. I don't know if he loves Juanita anymore. A lot of what he seems to do is get involved in these impulsive relationships that he calls love relationships.
Now living back at the house, Tom blames the affair on a midlife crisis. He and Juanita agree it might be healthier if he indulged in other ways.
His black Corvette, he thought it was a very snazzy vehicle and he liked to be seen in it, and he called it his midlife crisis.
So this is my new competition.
Oh, she's not as beautiful as you.
Hey. Keep washing.
Indeed, this is a crisis, and it's about to get a whole lot worse.
He knew within himself he had already been a sinner, so therefore he couldn't cast a stone.
He was very angry about that. I think it was a bit of a blow to his ego because he thought he was the best.
17 years into their marriage, Juanita Richardson agrees to take back her husband Tom after he confesses his affair to their entire church congregation in the small northern Michigan community of Cadillac.
Got these for you.
They're gorgeous.
Just like you, babe.
It's too much.
Do you want to go for a spin?
Maybe later. I should really put this in the water.
Love you.
We never talked about whether she forgave him or she just chose to overlook it. I don't know. She never brought that up. She didn't forget it.
Then, Tom loses his job.
They were downsizing, and he was laid off. And a number of them, as the business started picking back up again, were called back to work. He was not called back, and he was very angry about that. I think it was a bit of a blow to his ego because he thought he was the best.
And his ego takes another blow when rumors start to fly that Juanita's got a new friend of her own.
The rumors were that Juanita had also had an affair And this was someone with whom she had worked with and for many, many years.
No one knows if the gossip is true.
Knowing Juanita the way that I did, I couldn't see her having an affair.
Given the state of this marriage, it would be incredible if she didn't seek attention and approval somewhere else.
Whatever the case, Tom doesn't confront her.
Regardless of whether or not it had occurred, regardless if he had his own suspicions or if he had heard the rumors, he knew within himself he had already been a sinner. So therefore, he couldn't cast a stone.
Instead, he tries to make it clear he's serious about forging ahead as husband and wife.
Hey, honey, you're home.
So we're hearing that Juanita may be having an affair with the principal at her school, and I think there are three possibilities around that. One is, maybe Juanita's wanted to have an affair of her own all along, and now that Tom has had one, she feels like she's got the green light. A second possibility is that this is a revenge thing. The third possibility is that this relationship between Juanita and the principal's innocent, and I tend to think that that's probably the most likely possibility because having an affair would be completely inconsistent with everything we know about Juanita up to this point.
I think it's completely possible that this relationship with the principal is some kind of an affair. It is a rare occasion for a married woman to strike up a very close friendship with another man if there isn't something at least emotional going on. So at a bare minimum, what I would say about this principal is that he is filling some needs that Juanita is needing filled. If I was betting on Tom's reasoning for not wanting to say anything to Juanita, it would be that he's finally found his excuse to be able to continue with his affairs and that this is an arrangement that they both are doing something outside of the marriage.
Tom takes a new job as a delivery truck driver, and he helps Juanita realize a cherished dream.
I want a view of the river from every room.
It's gonna be great, hon.
Tom and Juanita started building their dream home. And this was just an absolutely gorgeous log cabin on just wonderful acres of land.
But despite their best intentions, and long before the new house is ready, the old one, home base for their 17-year marriage, goes up in smoke, literally.
The entire house was engulfed in flames and there was nothing they could do. And by the time the fire department got there, it was beyond saving.
With their dream home far from completion, the Richardsons move in with Mary Beth and Steve, with their kids and their problems in tow.
Do you know what my problem is with this film?
Do we want to know what your problem is?
Tom.
You know what my problem is? You keep talking through it. And there's not enough TNA.
And there was always bickering. My husband and I both told Juanita,
Why do you put up with it?
just pack up his stuff and set it out to the road. Come back and live with us. Get away from him. She would admit that he treated her poorly, that maybe she deserved better, but, you know, they're a family, and that's just Tom.
At some point, Juanita's friend moves away, and she turns her focus back to finishing her dream home with Tom.
I think the biggest thing that proved to Juanita that he was serious about the relationship is when they built the house.
I think Juanita was thinking it was gonna fix everything. Once she got this big, beautiful house that Tom was gonna be thrilled with, that he would be happy to be home.
Except it doesn't fix anything.
Hey, tell me you didn't spend $200 on a faucet.
Well, faucets are expensive.
Juanita would purchase things that they talked about for the home. And he liked what he was seeing, but he didn't think it needed to cost that much.
Or maybe you'd like to go and sell your Corvette.
Finally, after 3 years and tens of thousands of dollars of debt, the couple finishes the house.
They were both very happy with the home because it was quite impressive and beautiful. But I don't know that it really helped their relationship.
What's also not helping their relationship is that Tom's job as a truck driver is taking him away from home for increasingly longer stretches.
Hi, this is Tom. You know what to do.
There were times when he would not come home for 2 or 3 days, and she had no idea where he was, and she was frantic. She would call hospitals. She would call family members.
Hi, Lakeshore Hospital? Yeah, I just wanted to see if maybe, I think my husband could have been in an accident.
She was checking the hospitals and the friends to make sure that he wasn't at those places because she knew. She knew he was having an affair.
Or thinks she does. In fact, Tom's befriended a night waitress at a cafe in Lansing, some 140 miles south of Cadillac, named Shelley Murphy.
This is someone he met in the course of his employment as a truck driver.
I'm really glad I have you to talk to.
And they had quite an intense telephone relationship, just based on cell phone records, you know, hundreds and hundreds of calls.
I hope you don't regret giving me your number. Just checking.
Tom would talk to her on his cell phone as he was driving because he had no one else to talk to at 3 in the morning. His wife was asleep. They shared coffee, donuts, and scripture. They never had an affair.
Sexual affair or not, Juanita has had enough.
I'm leaving Tom.
But her plans to leave Tom are just talk, especially when they get some frightening news.
We were involved right from the start because it was a rescue situation.
Well, I think it was a fatal attraction thing.
After 23 years of marriage, 1 confirmed affair, and suspicions of others, Tom and Juanita Richardson have grown so far apart that the rift between them seems impassable. But that changes.
Juanita had just her normal yearly checkup, and there was a small lump on one of her breasts.
She was very concerned about it because one of her friends had just passed away from breast cancer.
Hey. You okay?
Her diagnosis puts any talk of separation on hold.
Hey, what's wrong?
I'm sure she was concerned about it, like any of us would be. You know, what if? What am I going to do if?
The scare brings Tom and Juanita closer. And luckily, the news is good.
So she was very relieved to find out that it was not cancerous.
It's the perfect reason to celebrate, but not the only one. With their youngest off at school, they can rejoice in their newfound closeness. And Juanita stops taking antidepressants.
The children described Tom and Juanita's relationship as being the best that it had been for most of their memory.
To your health.
To my health.
He was getting along well with Juanita, and they were very happy.
Love you.
Love you too.
You're beautiful.
They were enjoying what they call the empty nest syndrome, the new empty nest time, and they were looking forward to their time together.
And together, the couple decides to take a second honeymoon at the same park where they took their first.
Second honeymoon. Here you go.
Yeah. All right, all right.
Juanita was really looking forward to it because she said that Tom was always in a better mood when they got away from home and work and just could relax and enjoy downtime.
They had been to that Pictured Rocks place, that very spot, some 20 years ago, and their goal was to return there to celebrate again.
It's surprising to me that Tom is interested in planning a second honeymoon. It makes me think that maybe what this is about is more Juanita trying to recapture some of that photography thing that they had at the beginning of their relationship, where they had this common passion that sort of drew them together. And then later on, she wanted to do the log cabin. And so it looks to me like maybe what we're seeing again here is Juanita thinking that maybe a big trip will draw Tom back in.
I don't agree with Brian. Juanita has a passive personality. And Tom certainly hasn't been the kind of person that she could coax into doing anything. And so if they're building a house, if they're going on a trip, Tom's on board for some reason. When it comes to really traumatic and stressful events in a relationship, it either pulls people apart or puts them together. And it certainly does look like, for the moment, that Tom and Juanita are together.
So Juanita has a cancer scare, and that is the kind of major life stressor during which you're supposed to be able to lean on your spouse for support. And it actually looks like Tom is rising to the occasion. But again, I've got a concern that Tom's behavior looks like it's happening out of obligation. Given that the cancer scare has passed, I have to wonder if there's really going to be any lasting change in Tom's behavior because of it.
A few days into their trip, Tom and Juanita arrive at Pictured Rocks.
Well, the cliffs are very dramatic. It's kind of like the open side of the letter R. You've got an overhang and then it fans out towards the lake.
Their destination, Miner's Castle Overlook, a clifftop view of Lake Superior.
It was only about a quarter mile from the visitor center. It is a nice little spot, like a little grassy area that overlooks the cliff.
They had gone out to this spot, which was 140 feet above Lake Superior.
But just as they arrive, Tom is ready to turn back.
You okay? What's wrong?
My stomach's feeling a bit weird. You know what? I'm just gonna head back just for a sec. I'll be right back.
He left the spot and went back to the visitor welcoming center to use the restroom.
When he returns, there's no sign of Juanita.
Juanita?
He doesn't know if she's dead or alive. He gets up and he runs back to the visitor center where he encounters a Park Service officer. He's clearly in shock.
My wife, she fell off the cliff.
The park ranger calls the local sheriff's office for help.
The call came in as a lady who fell to the bottom of a cliff. So we were involved right from the start because it was a rescue situation.
The only way to reach her is through the choppy waves of Lake Superior.
They found that there was a large amount of blood coming from her and that, obviously lots of trauma to her body. It was obvious that she was deceased.
The officers at the scene first consider this was likely an accident.
She was a photographer. She might have leaned over a little bit too far.
I came back and she was gone. She was just gone. I think she fell.
Or worse.
Her going over might have been due to a suicidal attempt or some impulse that she wasn't able to control at the moment.
Could she have jumped? Maybe.
I got a call, and it was Juanita's cousin. And she said, I just want you to know that Juanita fell at Pitched Rocks and she's dead. And I hung up because I had to call my husband right away, and I was just hysterical.
As police try to piece together what happened, Tom returns home to mourn with his family and their entire community.
We reached out to Tom when this first took place, when we found out that Juanita had passed, if there's anything that we could do, just to let him know that we were there for him.
At the funeral, Tom is beside himself.
Everybody seemed just very stunned. There was a lot of tears from the kids, a lot of tears from Tom, tears from the family members.
Tom had come up to me and Steve and told us that he wanted us to sit up front with the family because we were family. At one point during the service, Tom stood up and walked up to the easel that had her picture on it and was kind of almost like he was caressing her face, and he was just sobbing.
Nobody believes Juanita wanted to die.
There's no way she jumped. There's no way. I think initially it was just treated as a tragic accident.
But in the coming hours and days, police develop other theories.
Either she accidentally fell, or she committed suicide, or she was pushed.
Tom and Juanita Richardson's second honeymoon, 23 years after the first one, ends in tragedy.
With Juanita being found at the bottom of the cliff, there's actually only 3 possibilities. Either she accidentally fell, or she committed suicide, or she was pushed.
Police look into all 3. Suicide is quickly ruled out. Juanita had been happier in recent weeks than she'd been in years. Falling seems unlikely.
She's not engaged in any sort of hazardous activity like hang gliding or rock climbing. So that's how we began with this case, was statistical evidence, just showing how unlikely it is that she becomes the first of 40 million visitors to this park to fall from a cliff.
Leaving only one other option.
In a matter of hours, and certainly days, it morphed into a murder investigation.
Police look to the most obvious suspect.
Juanita?
Tom gives 3 different versions of what happened.
His initial story was what we always called the bathroom story, which is where he had to go to the bathroom and so left his wife there, returned to find her gone.
My wife, she fell off a cliff.
So in his first version of events, he witnesses nothing. He simply assumes she has fallen and reports it.
I came back and I couldn't find her anywhere. I mean, I looked everywhere. And then I looked over the edge.
And she was gone.
Yeah.
He didn't change that story until many hours later at the sheriff's department.
I got back. I heard her scream and...
God, forgive me.
No! I saw her jump.
But didn't you already say that she was gone when you got back from the bathroom?
No, I was upset. I was confused. Look, I tell you, I saw her jump.
You know, he just all of a sudden announces that he really did see it and that she jumped, that it was a suicide.
And his third version, which he gave us the next day, was...
I got back, and she was at the edge. It was like she wanted to show me something. And she just fell off. No! It was an accident.
So let me get this straight. So now you're saying she didn't jump on purpose. It wasn't a suicide.
That again, he witnessed it, but she fell.
As the police dig deeper, they learn that right before leaving on the trip, Tom made sure the couple's affairs were in order.
Prior to coming up to Pictured Rocks, they had a recent appointment where Tom had ensured that the life insurance policies on Juanita were up to date and that the wills were up to date so that Tom would be the recipient of any life insurance that there was.
Through speaking with friends and family members, police and prosecutors come to believe Tom had plenty of reasons to want Juanita dead.
The overarching motive is that he simply was very unhappy in this marriage and wanted out.
Tell me you didn't spend $200 on a faucet.
The Richardsons were living beyond their means, lots of debt. You know, it was kind of a cost-benefit analysis on his part. He was very image conscious. He was someone who publicly disapproved of divorce. So killing his wife enabled him to save face that way. And so the great thing about being widowed is that you become the object of sympathy and people start bringing you casseroles and giving you hugs.
There is no physical evidence at the scene. But Tom is arrested and charged with luring her out to that cliff to kill her.
There were 11 pictures taken at Pictured Rocks that morning. And the last picture was of him. Obviously had to be taken by her. So my favorite theory was that after that picture was taken, he says, "Here, let me take a picture of you with the greatest of the Great Lakes in the background."
At trial, more than 130 witnesses testify. And even though there was no physical evidence, the jury concludes Juanita's death was a homicide, and Tom killed her.
It's extremely unusual to have that many witnesses, especially to an incident nobody observed.
In the end, Mr. Richardson was convicted of first-degree murder, which is premeditated.
He will be serving life imprisonment in which he will continue to think about his actions for the rest of his life. And for someone who claims to have a religious faith, he violated not only the laws of man, but the laws of God.
The Richardsons' 3 children stand by their father.
Absolutely no doubt in any of the kids' mind about their father's innocence. They supported him every single day leading up to the trial, every day of the trial, and every day after the trial during the appellate process.
I'm not really surprised about Tom's conviction because there were so many witnesses that described his cheating behaviors. Part of what strikes me as the most interesting in this case is really how much Juanita endured. Their relationship was bad from the beginning. He was always critical, he was always hard on her, he always had a roving eye, and things just did not seem to get better.
I think the jury's conviction of Tom is a nice illustration of the reasonable doubt standard that we have in our American system. Can you think of a way in which Juanita could have gone off of that cliff other than being pushed by Tom? Yes, you can. But can you think of any reasonable way in which it could have happened? And this jury concluded no. That's our standard.
What I am most surprised in is that his children are still maintaining that he is innocent, despite the fact that there is all of this evidence that makes their father look bad.
I think it's tremendously difficult to lose one parent, and it's even more difficult, of course, than to lose two parents. And so if Tom and Juanita's children accept the fact that their father committed the first-degree murder of their mother, then they've sort of effectively lost both parents. So there's tremendous motivation there to engage in some denial.
The people in this close-knit northern Michigan community remain divided.
Call me naive, but the Tom Richardson that I know would not do something like this. Obviously, Juanita's parents, they lost a very beautiful person, and I feel for them. My heart goes to them. So they want to think that Tom did it. But again, the close friends, Tom's close friends, his family, know different. They know better.
He was evil. I have a lot of anger that she didn't step away. I feel for the kids. They lost their mom, and they lost their dad due to their dad's destruction of their mom.
I wish I could have been a better friend and convinced her to leave, come up with whatever it would take to get her to leave him. I miss her a lot.